Welcome to another episode of the First Gems podcast. Today we have joining us the dynamic Dappa Duo, Chimdi and Otìto from itsENJ, and they're here to discuss their journey as Nigerian American singers, songwriters, producers, and all around just music visionaries. So we're going to dive into their creative process. We're going to be exploring the intersection of music, culture, and identity through their lens. So we're super excited to get into this combo, and it's going to be a good one, y'all. First, though, we're going to play a really quick game. Are y'all ready for this game?
I'm not sure what to expect, but I'm ready.
So it's going to be a quick little this or that Afrobeats edition. I'll ask a question and you can make a decision and you can give a why explanation or not. It's up to you. Starting with Tanina. Afrobeats in English or Afrobeats in local dialects?
I'm gonna choose local dialect because I don't know, especially when I hear Igbo songs or even Yoruba songs, I just feel more connected when I'm reciting lyrics in the local language, even if I don't know what they're saying.
Love songs or party anthems?
This is a good one. I like to go with party anthems, honestly. I love songs are cool, but I feel like I don't know. Everybody, I like to party. I like to enjoy myself, so I'll go with party anthems.
Chimdi, collaborations with American artists or keeping it strictly African?
Ooh, that's tough. That's tough. That's tough. Because I haven't seen, besides Chris Brown collabs, I've not really seen a lot of like stellar collabs. I'll say keep it African. I think there's enough artists in the African continent. There's plenty African artists in the continent that they can collab with each other to really bring out the African sound as a whole before we start looking for American collabs and validation. I mean, not saying it's bad, but like I'd rather keep it authentic, because the sound is yes, it has grown, it has blown, but like it still needs to stamp itself, and I don't feel like it needs any international collabs.
Believe on that. Start from the home, and that's how we do it. Jada, old school Afrobeats, like what our parents listen to, or the new age Afrobeats?
I mean, you can't go wrong either way, but I think I'm just gonna say the new school currently. It's a lot of like really cool artists out there, and yeah, I like that some of them actually do mix with the old school as well. So yeah.
Okay. And then Anna, Amapiano infused Afrobeats or pure Afrobeats?
I'm a piano Afrobeats, period.
Okay. Y'all South
There's
African.
something different about that sound.
One last one. I'll give this to Otìto. Being a chart-topping global star or being a legend in just Africa?
I'm on legendary status all every way forever. Forget top chatting. Chatting will change. Somebody will come and bring another chat and then say this is now the new benchmark. Me, I want to be legendary. Michael Jackson status.
Period. So I want to shift into getting more into your guys' roots, growing up between the two worlds. I know that your background and your family are from Enugu originally, but you grew up in the Bronx. If you guys could maybe talk about how growing up between Enugu and the Bronx just shaped your worldview as kids and later as artists.
Yeah, I would say like growing up in Enugu was very short lived. Fortunately and unfortunately. Fortunately, because we were able to come to the States and get an opportunity to, advance our lives. Growing up in Enugu, we left really young, like I was 7 or 12, I believe, or like 3 or 4. And, we were just getting, how 7 is that age where you're like getting to know who you actually are. So started making friends, started really understanding my scope, my world, and then boom, we're on a plane to America. And America was like New York was tough. It was a bully. There was bullies, you know what I'm saying? And back in the African booty scratcher days, like it was very tough being Nigerian, very tough being African. Africans weren't really accepted. It's very evident in the overall, let's say, how there's like that whole like conversation of like the ADOS Africans and then the African Americans, that kind of like that like underlying friction is because of the history. and just like coming to my first week of school in like public school, like I learned to fight with someone who was darker than me because of my accent, and it was just very eye opening to me because I was confused because I didn't even know I was black until I came to America. Because in Africa everybody's black, so like you just feel like okay, we're all Nigerian, we're all black. Like like I knew I was Igbo, but I didn't know I was black. When I came to America, it became more evident that oh yeah, you're black. Not even you're black, you're African. So like okay, cool. So it was a lot of culture shock, and obviously that influenced a lot of our identity, and it shaped how we grew up because for a bit I didn't want to be African. I didn't want to be Nigerian. I started trying to. I worked hard to blend in, so I could stop getting bullied, so I could stop fighting people, so I can be accepted, right? Because you're a kid, right? Everybody wants to like kind of be, so belong, right? So that's kind of what happened over time. It went from forming to be black to forming to be because at the time, after a while, early 2000s, like dancehall, reggae started to really like blow in America. So it's like, okay, what's the nearest foreign identity that I can take? So people say, oh, you look kind of Jamaican. I was like, yeah, I'm Jamaican, So
Wow.
I started kind of adopting the Jamaican kind of vibe and like, like kind of identifying with that. And then we moved to a Caribbean dominated neighborhood, which really influenced our culture, which is why like you're hearing our music, there's like a blend of all those things like dance hall, etc. Because like we really grew up. One of my first parties ever were Caribbean parties, like bashment parties, like backyard parties, like the whole daggering scene and all those things, like whining, grinding, all those kind of things. So like it was very like that, the raunchy Vibes Cartel times. That's what really raised us at the time, growing up in the Bronx. North Bronx, Gun Hill Road to be specific. So yeah, I mean, it was just a lot of New York is a beautiful place because it's a melting pot, right? So you get to experience Hispanic culture, Dominicans and Puerto Ricans. You get to experience Haitian culture. You get to experience Caribbean culture. You get to experience Jamaicans, Trinidadians. It's like everybody, and then there's the Africans, all types of Africans too. There's the Muslim Africans, the Christian Africans. All of those things kind of like blend in to influence our identity and how we see ourselves and how we exist in America. I don't know if you want to add to that, Otìto.
But yeah, so I would say like everything you were saying is like spot on correct. But just to add on a little bit, coming from Enugu to New York City, we first started off in the South Bronx. And one of the things we, like you said, African booty scratchy era. So it was frowned upon to be African. Being African was dirty. You know what I mean? Like, it was stinky. Like everything African was bad. And then every single time we would come home, our parents they would tell us that Africans are poor in school. We'll come home and be like, Mom, Dad, like, are we poor? They keep saying that we're poor. My mom would always tell me like, no, we're very, very rich. Africa is very, very rich. So that's, I would say, like, was the beginning of the shaping of my brain, of the understanding of identity and the fight for telling your own story.
Mm.
So I would say that like that was the biggest thing that we had to do growing up. I will get taught and with a lot of confidence and a lot of strength at home. Then we'll go outside and everybody will just get you, slap you here, shade is there, da 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 da. And you come back home with all of that, and my parents specifically, would then try to shake that back out of us again. To the point that like we will, even with love, I would say like Africa's full of a lot of love. Africa's full of a lot of pride, like and confidence to the level where like we can be in shit, but people will be dancing and enjoying themselves. People will be confident. Like some people who don't even have anything in Nigeria will speak to you like, do you know who I am? Do you know who you're talking to? You understand? That's like the African spirit that I feel like I carried on from Enugu to then New York. A little bit of, I didn't think Chimdi was able to mention this, but we grew up in the South Bronx prior to moving uptown before my parents had bought a house in the Northern Bronx. Growing up in the South Bronx was a little bit interesting because we had experience with like the Kelokes, the Puerto Ricans,
Mhm.
the Dominicans, do you get? And growing up around them, that was our first identity crisis. I know me myself, I used to buy mousse, or my parents used to buy mousse. And in that era, we used to like try to curl our hair and so on. I think even my mom got hit with it a little bit with like bleaching cream and all of that stuff. And it took some time before like we actually started gaining more confidence within ourselves. I per se, personally, growing up in like Burnside, the South Bronx, around Spanish people, since we were seen as like ugly, dirty, all of that stuff. I started to hate my people. Like I started falling in love with Spanish girls, Latino girls, Latina girls. And Like, I started thinking my people were ugly. It wasn't until we moved uptown around Jamaicans, and Jamaicans are very dope people because like they're proud people. They're confident. I feel like that was our first experience feeling black pride because amongst, I don't want to throw any shade, but amongst black Americans, that wasn't really there. Do you get? But Jamaicans were the first people to bring it out. And when I did my history and eventually found out that a percentage of them are Nigerian, everything made sense. Not just Nigerian, but
Mhm.
Igbos, because a bit of our language was in their language. When we were growing up with them, our father would always tell us, these people are so like these. I love Jamaicans because they're very similar to us in culture. They're very family. They're family oriented. They work very hard. Construction. They don't really like. They like building their own businesses.
Mhm.
So, and then, for instance, one specific similarity, language, I always like to tell people this, that was that one imprint that the Igbos left in their language was the word unu. I don't know if you speak Igbo, but in Igbo, unu means you guys. And also in Patois, they say unu as well, and it still means the same thing. So that's an example of how like our culture was still kind of imprinting with them. So I felt like connecting with them was kind of like re-identifying with who we were, as well as much as we were like picking up and like trying to be like them. Being like them wasn't really too far from being like us because one thing, we're from the same color. We all experience the same black experience, and then on top of that, now I got the opportunity to now start seeing beauty in my people. It took me a while to really start loving black girls around that time, but I had to be around them, and that's another thing that kind of, because I'm big on marketing. That's one thing that shaped my idea of marketing. Is like, you are your environment. Like your environment eventually, like if you're told this is ugly, this is ugly, this is ugly by a bunch of people, it takes a very strong spirit for you to say it's still beautiful in the eyes of many that think it's ugly. Do you get? And matured spirit, I would say as well, because you have to kind of experience multiple different things for you to then decide, okay, I have to have a mind of my own. Even if the world is against me, I have to be for myself. You understand? But being around more, I would say Jamaicans was able to strengthen that confirmation. It's like, wow, we do have really beautiful and gorgeous people. All I had to do was just see them. Do you get? So I would say was my experience. Just to add on to what Chimdi was saying.
Just another big thing our parents did was, besides the neighborhoods that we grew up in, our parents were very intentional when immersing us in like our culture, right? Igbo church, they were big on making sure we went to like church, and not just church, prayer group, and it was all Nigerian as
Igbos.
Igbos, like they were speaking the language, they will speak Igbo to us. They just were very intentional about making sure we didn't forget our, so because we came to America so young, so they were very intentional on making sure even the food we're eating, making sure we're eating like, authentic food. Like my mom was cooking like all the soups, everything, like making sure that, because food also affects people. We don't understand what we put in our body also shapes, how you think, how you exist in the world, right? Like all this American processed food sometimes can affect your mind. She's making sure I'm eating like a bono soup, egusi,
You get what I'm
okra,
saying? You see
and
that will
bitter
just
leaf,
shift your spirit, like
ofen salad, all those things, and then like making sure like a lot of my close friends to today, are Igbo, people that we grew up with literally, right? Like, and being able to see each other like and kind of share in the same like American experience, Nigerian diaspora, like was very like fulfilling, because like you didn't feel alone, right? You felt like you moved like a unit. I think that was the beginning of the formation of like the Nigerian unity, because over time, as Afrobeat began to start taking over, it was just like everywhere Nigerians go, and I was like, hey, my brother is like, it's like known. You don't even have to think twice. It's like, is that my brother? Is that my sister? You just already know that this is your person and you connect. So I think gotta really give a shout out to our parents for making it really, for being very intentional, because not all parents think like that. Some parents will like come to a foreign country and intentionally disassociate from their culture, and that really, I've seen some Nigerian kids who that affected badly, because they were like, oh, I'm not Nigerian, my parents are Nigerian. And I think I blame the parents, because you're not making your children proud of where they're from. And honestly, like, we're not from America. Like, even if you're born here, like you have a source, right? And that identity gives you pride to be able to carry forward, and if you don't know where you're from, or you have kids, they're not going to know where they're from. And just like that, the lineage starts to disassociate over time as generations continue to pass. So I'm very grateful to be able to know myself, know where I'm from, know my village, know my father's land, so that when I have kids, they're going to know. When they have kids, they're going to know. Even just the identity, wherever we spread out, whether Germany, wherever, our generations must know where they're from because that's part of the pride. So I'm very happy about that because it almost didn't work out with self-hate and all those type of things.
It was deep. Oh my gosh.
So powerful.
I really appreciate you all being so vulnerable with that piece too. And the way that you both illustrated that was so relatable too. I was born in the US and then grew up in Nigeria for a bit and came back at 7. And I never put the pieces together the way that you illustrated it. Like when you're 7, you're forming your identity, you're more aware of things. And like it definitely is a culture shock and people ostracizing you and you quickly trying to find like any exit routes to be able to like assimilate into the environment that you're in. So I really appreciate you all for detailing that. And yeah, that was so moving for sure.
Yeah, honestly, y'all dropped so many different gems and like pieces of your story that it's like, where do we start again from here? Like, but I agree, like, with the fact that New York is such a melting pot, I think is so beautiful. And we've been to several Caribbean countries like Jamaica, Haiti, and we've said every time, like, wow, like being here reminds us of Nigeria, being in Nigeria, being with Nigerians, just a lot of the values and like just the way they move is just so similar to us. So even I feel like the fact that Jimmy was able to come and like assimilate and like just be in the mix just so easily, it's like wow, it's just I don't know what it is, but it's just something like culturally that we just have a
Yeah. Especially when you
synergy
travel
with.
all over, it's kind of like you're finding your family, like
Yeah.
parts of the world.
Yeah. I think yeah, for sure. Chimdi, you said food was obviously like a huge part of your parents, like keeping you guys connected to your culture and things while being in New York. Would you guys also say music in your household played a big
Definitely, I'm
role?
saying like
Okay, great. Okay, wait. Okay, so then
I can play one.
okay, so
Nigerian, like
how did music become like a bridge between your two worlds, like being in New York, but then obviously being from Nigeria? Like, what role did music play?
music played a big role. Like our parents, like my mom, on our way to prayer group, on our way to church, she's blasting like Igbo gospel songs, like back to back to back to back to back. Like I'm sure you guys know some of them. I'm
Mhm.
sure if I, I'm trying to say like from
Everybody.
Igwe, all those songs, like, and those things subconsciously. And the funny thing is, like at the time, we're not really like paying attention, right? We're not like really like, oh my god, we're jamming to it, right? In my mind, I'm like, this is my parents' song. This is the old people's music. But I didn't know what that was doing to me spiritually until I moved out and became my own adult. And I was like, wow, like the nostalgia of that feeling was so like fulfilling. When you play it again, it just reminds you, it puts you back in that place of wholesomeness, right? Because that feeling that like the fact that like my mom was so intentional. I don't know if she was intentional, but to me I think she was being intentional in playing those things and not trying to like, oh my kids are American now, let me try to play it. No, she was like, I'm gonna keep it Nigerian, I'm gonna keep it Igbo because my kids need to continue understanding this is where they're from, even if they're far away from home, right? Like, and I think that, and then my dad with like, playing like high life music, playing like putting us onto so much back in the day, like Oliver De Coke, Osadebe, etc. Like all these like, classic like Igbo musicians from back in the days, right? Like putting songs to them, like kind of inspired us. And then when the P Square came out and we get in the first Olamide CD from like our uncle, like there's just a lot of like influence from our family and close family friends that will continue pushing like the Nigerian music to us, right? And I think when we go into music, we originally started off like as producers, right? Like we're producing, but we're doing hip hop because we're from New York. So like I was also heavily influenced by hip hop. Like 50 Cent was one of my favorite rappers. Notorious B.I.G., Jay-Z, growing up, Lupe Fiasco, Pharrell, Kanye, and like all these people really like influenced me. On top of that, then I had my parents playing African music, right? So you see how that's like kind of. But when we got into music, especially production, like we were making hip hop beats, making R&B beats, right, and trying to find rappers to work with, singers to work with, right, like, and it was good, right? It was a very formidable part of our foundation as musicians, as artists, because that's where we learned the trade, right? We learned production, we learned recording, all these type of things, right? But the true bridge, the true connection was when we made an intentional decision to make African music, make Afro beats, right? It was like, okay, and that kind of put us in that world of like, okay, to be able to give the authenticity of this music, we have to learn more about our culture. So it was like kind of like an education thing for us as well. As we're trying to make the music, we also like became more interested in being Nigerian, what the Nigerian experience is, what the Nigerian experience is in Nigeria versus Nigerian experiences in America. How that blends, and it kind of gave us that purpose to essentially want to bridge that gap, right? Like use our voice to tell the Nigerian story in America because it's a different story, right? And I think the world needs to hear that, right? Like us talking about like the booty scratcher experience, the feeling like we're ugly, feeling like we're dirty, right? Like that's an experience that some Nigerians don't even understand. Nigerians who are like, I want to come to America, I want to come to America. Like they don't understand that like there's certain struggles that comes with being an immigrant, a Nigerian immigrant in America. Like, are you able to handle that? Can you deal with that? Are you able to experience these, I would say, subtle forms of racism and still exist in your skin and be proud of yourself, your identity? You know what I'm trying to say? So, yeah, our music transformed our music journey definitely was heavily influenced by our culture over time, and it fueled our hunger and our what's that word, our desire to want to identify with our culture, learn about our culture, learn about our language, so that we can communicate that through our music, because it's very important for us to have authenticity, to be authentic in our music and make sure that we're speaking to the right people.
And just to add on to what he's saying, I feel like music is like music was very pivotal. As my mother was playing those musics in my head, like me growing up here was, I'm gonna be honest, like it was tough. Like I didn't really enjoy a lot of my upbringing here, and I feel like coming into the car, coming home, it was like a safe haven for me. So when my parents would play those African songs, I would feel more comforted. It was weird because I'm a musician because I'm sensitive to energy. You get, so a lot of the things that we were experiencing, whether bullying or the poison put in the African American community for us to hate ourselves, I felt that dealing with people, right? And then with the music that they were also pumping out, it also carried the same energy. So as I was hearing the music, I was feeling exactly what the people were making me feel. So now coming into my mom's car was kind of like, I'm coming into heaven. I finally get to just sit here. I don't even know what they're saying, but eventually I'll figure it out. I'll just sleep, and then this music will be playing, and it'll just be comforting me, comforting me, comforting me to the level. And because there was I'm growing up in America learning English. I'm staying at home. We're speaking Igbo from time to time, speaking with our accents. Now, like I kind of have this dual world. In America, I felt shut up. Like I felt I couldn't really talk. Like if I talk, shut the fuck up. You're African. Shut the fuck up. You stink. Shut the fuck up. You're too. Mine was, you're too energetic, because being African is being energetic. Being African is turning up. Like I can be me, and then nobody can really tell me what the fuck to do if I'm in Nigeria. Do you get? But growing up here was like, yo, calm down, relax. They almost put me on ADHD medicine, Osha. My mom said no. My mom said no. My son he's a child. If he was a white boy now, they would have just said no, just put him in therapy. Do you get? So my mom said no to that, and I would say the music was my mouthpiece. Before I learned how to talk, I learned how to sing. Before I learned how to say how I feel, I learned how to play the piano. Like I can tell people how I feel through melodies. Like people can hear my emotions through melodies before I started speaking. And I felt like when I started learning, like Chimdi was saying, when we started getting back to who we were, back to our culture, back to our language, I started understanding how to speak even better, because there's certain things that cannot be translated from, because the energy is not there for us in English. Do you get? They have to do multiple research and then figure out how do we explain this feeling? How do we explain this thought process? You get what I'm trying to say? Like the idea of love. Let's use that for example. I use this as an example a lot in Igbo. The word is ifunanya. Do you get? Love and ifunanya is not the same thing. When you say love, that can mean so many things. You could come to America and say, what is love to you? What is love to me? But when you say ifunanya, that word itself translates to see somebody in their eyes. Do you get? If you really love somebody, I don't have to And then the word hate is ofwanya. So if you really love somebody, I can look you in your eyes and you can tell. They say the soul is in the eyes. You can tell whether they're really there with you or not. You notice when people start behaving fake, they can't stand to see you. You never heard when somebody say, I can't stand to look at your face. I can't even look at their face. They don't like you. You ever heard that? So think about the word ifunanya. That adage is telling you a deeper meaning of love. And then when they start saying ofwanya, ofwanya means one eye. I'm looking at you with one eye. I'm side-eyeing you. Do you get? I'm side-eyeing you. It's not I hate you. Hate, then if you say hate, English is changing every day, depending on what Gen Z is telling us. They can say now, I hate you, and you're like, oh, but what does hate mean to you? What does hate mean to me? Because from my perspective, me slapping the shit out of you is not hate. I'm just joking. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Those are all of the confusions and the things that, like, for me personally, I had to kind of like navigate throughout growing up, which is what made it hard for me to express myself. When music came along, it was like, yes, I can finally do it, and everybody will fucking understand.
Mhm.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Wait, can I just point out that this is the same Otìto that chose party anthems over love songs? Like, you're giving total lover boy energy.
I'm a lover boy, yo, but I like to enjoy myself, Sha. So my love language is enjoyment.
There you go. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page about that. Super dope. I'm just two things. One, this reminds me of, we had put out an Afrobeats episode early in the season where we were talking about how we, relate to the genre, where we hope to see it go in the future, what we've learned about it growing up. So just hearing your guys' reflections really does mirror a lot of just our experiences growing up. So just thinking about you all now as a musical entity, the Dappa Duo, your music tends to blend like the concept of Afrofusion. So that blending in like pop and alt and some Afrofuturism and hip hop, as you had mentioned. But to a new listener or someone who's never heard your music or the term Afrofusion, how would you describe that sound?
I would say Afrofusion to me is kind of, so I would say Afrofusion is kind of, for me, it's bringing the diaspora together. That's what I call it. So because we grew up in the melting pot, my goal when creating music, when I first started recording or first started producing was, okay, because we were DJs before. So as DJs, a large part of our sets was Afro-Caribbean because we grew up around Africans and Caribbeans, whether it be Africans from outside, Nigerians, Ghanaians. Because people don't tell you guys people don't tell the truth. But like before Afrobeats, before it became even a thing, Ghanaians were the ones really taking Africa to the top in America, in New York. You get with Azonto and all of that stuff. They were really wilding at some point.
Wait, with music or with like their tourism, like how their country is set up?
Music.
Wow.
Now tourism.
I feel like a lot of people forget that. I didn't necessarily know.
Yeah. We are loudmouth, so we take everything to the top. Just like how we took Amapiano to the top. They wouldn't be talking about Amapiano if it wasn't for us. You understand? But when I think Afrofusion, back to the question, I think of our upbringing growing up in New York. I think about our experience with the Latinas, with the Latinos, you understand, getting that influence. Our experience with the Caribbeans, getting that influence. We were DJing, blending their music. And now when it's time to make music, I'm like, I was cool with all of you guys. How do I relate to everybody the easiest way possible? So I'm going to take a bit of this. I'm going to take a bit of that. I'm going to take a bit of this. And I'm going to speak to you guys in this one song. And now everybody's going to be like, wow, he said Toma in the song. Wow. He talked about Wache. It's like, wow, he did this. Wow, he did that. So for me, it's like I said, music is communication. Music is supposed to bring, you see how you said you had brought your husband back to Nigeria and you loved how he was able to easily assimilate. That's what I feel like Afrofusion is supposed to do. We were dispersed, we were distracted, we were divided. The colonial powers decided to just say, you guys are this, you guys are that, and just separate us and made us hate each other. For me, Afrofusion is bringing that all back together and saying, yo, we're one.
Oh, another thing I wanted to ask was just how you guys were sort of relaying your upbringing. A lot of similarities growing up in an Igbo household. So from listening to High Life, going to an Igbo church, and just like really trying to understand the language and where I fit in the spectrum of identity. But what I really like about your guys is like visual aspects as far as like music videos and how a lot of like your album cover works. You guys have a lot of like prominent Igbo like heritage, cultural
cues, so like the red caps and insipidity. So just also want to ask like what elements of like Nigerian culture are most prominent in your music, but also like in your creative process. So things that you guys were inspired by, how do you then translate it into your music as Igbo brothers? Yeah.
Honestly, there's no real methodical process to it. It's a lot of it is just inspiration. We just have overall intentionality around wanting to push our culture out there, right? Wanting to like make sure that as we're promoting our music, promoting ourselves and our brand, we're communicating our culture identity because it's important, right? Like we have to be our own mouthpiece. We have to be our own. If they don't promote you, promote yourself, right? For years on ending, they've been the ones. When I say they, we know who they are. They've been the ones telling our story. And I think since the evolution of like media and social media and having the power to have it in our hands, right, on our phones and our own cameras, right, like it's time for us to tell our own story. So when given the opportunity to tell our own story, make sure that we draw from our source within, which is ourselves, right? And get that, take that inspiration, and when we're creating stuff, we try to be as authentic as possible. So I'd say that's the process. Like whenever we're trying to create any song or any artwork or anything, we make sure, okay, how can we be as authentic as possible? We don't borrow from outside, we borrow from within. So who are we? What's our identity? How can we communicate that to people?
I agree, and that's also one of the biggest reasons why we travel to Nigeria a lot. We know that our first EP was created in Abuja, Nigeria, when we were stuck there during COVID for like about over 6 months. So we were not going to be those artists that claim being African, but we're like not African. Like it was just not going to make sense because we were born there. It would just look crazy. So we were like, we have to go back so that we can tell the story of our people. We can't tell the story of Americans. If we can't tell the story of Africans from America, we have to go there so we can see what they're going through, so we can be honest and not give the romanticized version of the story. You get?
I love that. I feel like this is a synergy here where we're both on a mission to tell the story of our people. You through music, us through interviewing and podcasting and bringing stories like this together. And it's so important that we're able to do that. And then you mentioned being stuck in Nigeria during COVID time, which in itself is a challenge that you turn into an opportunity. What are some other challenges that you faced in the music industry? We've realized how hard it is to even grow a podcast brand. I'm sure there's a lot of intricacies when it comes to growing as artists. So what are some challenges that you faced in the music industry?
I'd say one of the biggest things that most artists face is, especially starting off, is identity crisis. Trying to figure out where you fit in the midst of everything. There's a big push to want to be like everybody else, to want to sound like everybody else, because you feel like this is what's going to be more commercially appealing. But over time, you realize that what really makes you stand out is when you be yourself. Like just be yourself. Like believe in yourself and be authentic to yourself. So I say that's one challenge. Another challenge is there's this like, what do I even call it? There's this, don't call it fake life. Maybe it's called fake life, right? Like there's this like Hollywood kind of aura in entertainment space, right? Where I get the appeal, I get why it works in a way, but there's a thin line between buying into that lifestyle and losing yourself versus staying authentic, right? And we see that time and time again with many artists, right? There's many artists that you see that come out, they boom, they burst, and yeah, they're making headway. People know them, this and that, right? And then as fast as they go, as fast as they also come down, because they probably bought into a trend. They're looking for viral moments, and the viral moments kind of were short lived, and then that was it, right? And then you see those artists are like building, catalog. They're not really worried about who's checking. If it's one or two fans, that's fine. They keep feeding those fans with the content that they love, as long as that sounds authentic to them and their identity. They keep doing that, and over time, you see them. By the time they come with surprise, you'll be like, wow. A big example is Kendrick. Like Kendrick's win this year, last year has been tremendous, and he's an example of an artist that stayed true to his identity, stayed true to like saying, I'm from Compton, I represent Watts, I represent Compton, like this is who I am. He didn't care if the world judged it. He didn't care how they felt about it. He didn't care about trying to be Hollywood, trying to be whatever. He said he loved rap music and he stuck to that. He studied the game for years. unending, right? Like he didn't try to chase the quick, I call it like the smoke and mirrors, right? He didn't try to chase like the viral moments, right? Like it just happened for him naturally at God's appointed time. So I think like that's another hard thing in this business, right? Like feeling like, oh, I have to chase this like viral moment. I have to be like this Hollywood person or do certain weird stuff to gain attention for my music. And it's like, you don't have to do that because if this is what you do, if you say you do music, then do music. Why you started doing music in the first place was because it was in you, right? And you have something that you want to give out to the world. So whether or not people are watching it or not, you should just keep doing it. Whether or not people are clapping for you or not, you should just keep doing it because that's what you say you do. So just do it. That's another thing. But another hard thing, another challenge I'd say is it's very expensive business. It's very expensive art, from production to marketing it to promoting it. So we have to get very, very creative in how we use our resources to still get the quality of work we're looking for, right? Because it's very expensive. And because you're an artist, most people, in a way, like Kanye West would say, are vultures, right? They want to come and take and sap from the artist without giving the artist anything, right? And the very interesting thing about art is that we've all gone to museums, right? You go to a museum, you see this beautiful piece, you're like, wow, I wonder how long it took this artist to make this. The artist's probably dead. The artist you're looking at probably didn't even make anything from that art, but they poured out the entire soul into that piece of art. It probably took them years to make that thing. And you're just like, wow, you admire it, look at it, take pictures, and what do? You walk away. That's it, right? So imagine as an artist, you like put all your soul into something. Everybody's like, wow, that's really cool. Sounds really good. All right, bye. So that like you have to have thick skin to be able to surmount that feeling, right? And that's why I was saying initially, like it's not about who's looking or who's watching. It's about you. It's about your purpose in this world. It's about what God put in you to give to the world. It's a gift, right? And you have to just give it. Just give it. Don't worry about where's going to come back. Because when it comes back, that's like Kendrick. I'm sure he wasn't thinking about Super Bowl. I'm sure he wasn't thinking about all these things. He was just doing music, just for music's sake. Just do what you do. Like, just keep doing it. And if you love it enough, right, whatever rewards will come, that's up to God. Let him bless you at his appointed time. So that's what I would say about all that.
So I just want to piggyback off of what Chimdi was just saying. Everything he was saying was spot on. I feel like artists are the closest to God. God was the first artist in which he created us. He created this world. So he's creating. And guess what? I'm Christian, so I believe in Jesus. You understand? So if you understand Jesus, the God, the human version of God, the one sent down on earth to experience the human experience, he sacrificed in order to give us what we have today. Do you get? So that's how I kind of look at an artist as like a lot of what we're doing, it's really for the world. It's not as selfish as a lot of people or the industry will try to make it seem. The industry will make it seem like it's all about the artists, it's all about people. But most people that I've found that have succeeded, their art has like, for instance, like if you take into consideration Kanye West, like while he was broke, he was saying, wait till I get my money right. You get what I'm trying to say? I know he might be canceled here, so some people might not want to be hearing his name. But I'm just using him as an example because like even in the hard times, you still have to have the belief and understanding that God sent you to do this. This job is not for you. Do you get? And I feel like just to add into what Chimdy's saying, that is one of the biggest challenges I would say I'd face. Not letting your today disturb your tomorrow. You understand? Not letting what you think is happening. Because a lot of things are perspective. You get what I'm trying to say? And our perspectives are thwarted every day. You can go a whole week without going on social media and tell yourself that you're the best. Tell yourself that you're the finest. Tell yourself that you're most confident and you'll feel great that week. The next day you go on social media and you see A is doing one that's a little bit better than you. B is doing two. Should I be here already? All of that would be gone. So now you'd ask yourself, is my reality really bad or is my perspective being thwarted? Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So the reason why I'm saying that is because being an artist is being patient in those times where things seem to not be going well. That was put in you will be fulfilled because it was put in you. It was sent to you for a reason. You get everything we have today as ENJ, the Dappa Duo. We envisioned it when we were in our basements in New York. We are saying one day people will be singing our music. One day we'll be doing concerts. Everybody will be responding. We will be lifting souls. People were excited. You understand? And lo and behold, now we're living that. Now we have a different dream. It'll be a disservice to ourselves who listened to ourselves in the past to ignore ourselves right now. That's telling us that there's still more to do. So that's the only thing I would like to add to what he said.
And we're a vessel, right? Like Otìto was saying, like, people that, when the artist gets very self, and I think that's the difference between artists of this generation and artists of the past, right? If you hear a lot of the music from the past, even in Africa, America, like there was a lot of soul in it for a reason, right? Like because we're actually putting our soul into the music, and it's not about you. We're just vessels, right? Like that inspiration comes through us, and we're whatever artist delivers that message, they were sent to deliver that message, right? And once the job is done, the music is out there, right? Like that song with Whitney Houston, I want to dance with somebody. Like that energy had to be done
That song.
by Whitney Houston. If she didn't do it, God will make somebody else do it, right? The song, yes, we praise Whitney Houston, but Whitney Houston is not God. God is God, right? Like God used her to put that music out there to make people happy, make people enjoy, make people feel good, get out of the depression, right? So I feel like back in the day, it was when it was less about the money, less about capitalism, things were seen that way. Now, because it's about my streams, how much, am I going to win the Grammy? Now it becomes very like people are now trying to go in the studio and like copy and let me talk about Balenciagas. Let me talk about this. See if I get a sponsor. People who aren't even really about fashion are talking about fashion. It's like, are you really about fashion? Like whatever you are you like it's very, things are different now. I don't want to say bad or good because that's all perspective, but I just think things are very different. I think in that noise it's very important to, as an artist, really stay centered and grounded, because that's the only way you're going to move further, because otherwise all the noise will just distractions.
I love that you brought up the Whitney Houston example, because one notion that I like to think of, and I have to always constantly remind myself, is that your ideas are not yours. Like if God blesses you with an idea or a thought and things like that, if you don't take advantage of it, it will go to the next person, and he will appoint someone else to carry out whatever idea that he placed in you that you kind of were stagnant in. That's why you see a lot of, dang, I thought of that idea, I should have did it type of thing.
Yeah.
It
And
got
she didn't do it.
You
She
should
didn't
have
do
done
it.
and it got reassigned to someone else. I'm sorry, I'm really into this conversation because I love all things like just making spiritual connections to things, because I think things are way deeper than the surface level and way deeper than what we can even comprehend. So I find that very interesting too. And like, I just had to shout that out because I thought that
Yeah, no, I'm with
No,
you
for
on that,
sure.
Tina. And listening to y'all speak, it reminds me of like how some of the greats in music, like Stevie Wonder and Michael Jackson and even Prince, like they would speak about like the process of making music being spiritual, like it's an outer body. There's like some sort of just connection, and they always say like, "Oh, I'm just a vessel to build this thing and give it to people." So,
I always like to say I'm a flute.
okay, okay, okay.
If God presses me one way, can make you dance.
that's another way we see.
Yes.
And love, he is a lover
And
boy.
love. And love. She called it out. You're a lover boy. I love that. Yeah. With thank you for highlighting those challenges in a different way too, because I feel like some people would expect to hear like what we all know, like, yeah, it's challenging to get people to support you and this and this and that, but like the spiritual element I think is very important too. And with challenges come opportunities. And I know you all have had some cool collab opportunities, like with CK Olamide. So do you guys want to elaborate on what those were, how those came about, how you felt, and maybe what collaborations you're looking forward to?
Yeah.
So the CK one was like literally God given. Like, it was crazy. We met CK. I met CK online on IG, on Instagram, before Instagram was even that crazy of a thing, and before CK even was this big. I met him online. I heard one of his songs. His song was if your market sell, I don't know if you guys know that song.
Love CKs.
So when I heard this song, I heard it on like a Apple Music playlist. I was like, this is fire. Who made this? Around that time, we were still DJs, like kind of like DJ Khaled. So we weren't really like singing recording artists as much yet. That was like our first song that we actually sang on, the one that we had featured, that CK was featured on. When I hit him up on IG, it was almost like there was no like shakara, nothing. This guy was in love with me. CK loves me. As far as music is concerned, he loves music die. To the point where like when we finally finished, first of all, I sent him the beat. He recorded in like an hour. Literally, I was in class. I was in college when I was doing this. I was in class. I was like, yo, check this out. I love your music. I would love to see something. He loved the beat immediately. In an hour, he sends back a whole song. I was like, this guy is not playing. Sorry, this guy is not playing though. Then we get the song. It took us a while. We dropped the song like almost 2 to 3 years after we even created the song. So it took a while. There was another friend that we had in our school. His name was Hader, really dope guy, Pakistani dude. He was a star from a child, so he also had a following. We got him on the song. He also did pretty well on the song, and then we kind of did the outro and finished the song. On the mixing and mastering the song was when I got to understand like the type of person CK was. This guy no grief for anybody. This guy said, change this, change that. I don't know why he doing this. I don't know why he's doing that. This like he's so nitpicky. So when he blew, like I kind of saw that happening. Like the fact that he was able to take himself globally, I saw it because he was very meticulous and he really cared about what he was doing. Olamide situation, us and Olamide be like 5 and 6 almost. Like we don't meet that guy and be around that guy so much in our lives. 16 when he did his All Up New York, Olamide Live in New York tour in Queens. He did it at Amazura with Duke Concept. We were so just to give you guys a little bit of a breakdown or like background. We were part of like one of like the DJs and the industries that were bringing Afro beats up in New York before it then became globalized. So there was a lot of DJs. I don't know if you guys probably heard of DJ Buka. Anybody? Yes, she has. So I knew somebody would. You guys heard of Duke Concepts? You guys heard of Duke Concepts?
I'm familiar with Duke Concepts, yeah.
So he's the one that did the Hollywood Bowl with Burna Boy, the promoter for that. So when they were all coming up, we were all coming up together, and we were DJs in New York during that time. So we had the opportunity to open up for Olamide, an amazing performance. It was lit. It was really, really amazing. We did that, killed that one there, and then eventually, when we then moved to California, we met one of our guys, Nigerian Jeff from San Francisco. Come to find out, this guy is connected to Gazi. Do you get who's now connected to Olamide? We don't jam the guy again. You understand? So back to back to back. Another thing, even before that one, there was this is where we met him personally. We actually had the conversation with him. There was a award show that they did in New York. It was it's like NEA Awards, right? Nigerian Entertainment Awards, right? Mm-hmm. They did that in New York. A bunch of the artists came. This is when Afrobeats was not popping yet. That's what I'm trying to say. Afrobeats, it came a long way. It was an empty show. Just a little background. It was crazy. I hope they don't cancel us or they get mad at us. But Africa is far now, so they probably won't care. But at that time, it was an empty show. We were doing Hollywood. You know, Hollywood it's not really as it seems. So it was an empty show, and because the tickets were $90, but we had backstage passes because we were DJs at the time. But nobody was really there. But Davido, Mayor Kun, Olamide, the whole vibe, they all came and to receive their awards and perform. During that same day, we were able to make our way to backstage to then meet Olamide. Very humble guy. Where he is today, I would say like this guy really deserves it. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Because he came with like an entourage of probably like 7 to like 10 people. 10. It was a lot of people in that room. And he was just like in the middle. If you see the way his guys were grilling us that time when we entered that room, you will fear try to talk to Olamide. You would not have any confidence to try to speak to the guy. But we in our God is in infinite mercy put the confidence in us to go. Then like, oh yo, Olamide, like we would like to talk to you. The guy don't tell his boys to calm down. Then he came out of his circle and started speaking to us. Do you know that song? Do you know how he eventually like Fireboy? I always like telling this story because I feel like there's a link. I don't care what nobody says. There was this Ed Sheeran featured on Fireboy's track.
Yeah.
Peru Para. Mm-hmm. You know that song, right? So years before that happened, after we met Olamide, he had contacted us for beats to like send him some instrumentals. At the time, because of fear. This is one thing, and that's why I would say like I've been working on specifically on not leading with fear, but leading with faith. We had just been started with the industry, so we were kind of scared of people, taking our rights, taking out this. But like, I saw an interview of Akon and said, what is it to own 100% of nothing? Do you get? So we were scared of people taking our rights and so on. So when when I asked for beats, we didn't really send them our best. We had our best. Like that song that we produced with CK was already there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he was looking for, because on the day that we met him, that's the song I played for him that made him very interested in our brand. I played him for that song, told him we were throwing festivals. He was like, "Oh, you guys are really out here. Don't worry, we'll work." He said we'll work that day. So then he contacted us on IG. And then now he's asking for beats. We're like, okay, we sent him a pack, but the pack didn't include that song. He wanted that specific song because the guy that we had featured on the song sounded like a Justin Bieber or like an Ed Sheeran. So now, eventually, when he was asking us on IG, he said, "Give me an Ed Sheeran kind of beat." Lo and behold, 3 years later, Fireball, who was under Empire, who's under Alamide, now features Ed Sheeran. I was like, "Oh, see this life." I see this life. But that's what I would say about right now. We also got the opportunity recently to be in the studio and work on a song with the Cavemen.
Mm-hmm.
Fingers crossed, God's grace, we'll see where that goes. And I would say for me, the features I would look forward to working with, I really like Burna Boy, so I would love to have a feature with Burna Boy. I love his energy. I like Odumodu Black as well. I know he's not really like a popular favorite for a lot of people, but I like his spirit. I like the way he challenges the industry, and I like his effort in the industry. And I would say lastly, Rema. Rema's an outstanding performer, outstanding artist.
Yeah. That was a phenomenal list. I can't wait to hear it's gonna happen. In God's time it will happen. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
To add to that, a female artist I'd love to collaborate with Thames.
Ooh, absolutely.
Even I would like some Arya Star too, Sha.
I love that.
I wanted to ask you guys, it seemed like your mom was really intentionally mentioned well, multiple times that she was like intentional about infusing your culture in your childhood. I was just wondering, was there at any point in time that you had any pushback from your parents for pursuing music, or have they been pretty supportive of you?
Oh yeah.
They've been supportive, or it was
No, I would say they pushed back for majority of it in the beginning. But I even say majority because have I reached the age where I can say that now? I would say the earlier parts of our career was a lot of pushback. It took us kind of doing it, whether they said it or not, and raising funds. So the beautiful thing about the way we did music is that we always attacked it as businessmen, right? And I think that's what our mom specifically loved about us when working. We didn't just take I'm just going to be a struggling artist. We never really subscribed to that. You understand? Like, we always believed, as a man thinketh, so they are. So it's like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go hard, and I'm going to go hard and get what those that go hard get, because I deserve it. Do you get? So with that mindset, I feel like that was the angle we approached this from the set, from the get, whether it's production, whether it's also event production, show production, whatever it is what we're doing, we always like went really, really hard. And that kind of is what changed my mom's outlook on it. In the beginning, she used to throw out our headphones. Like I used to listen to music a lot. She used to always like, throw it out. But the funny enough, right? My mom she instituted it because she promised me a piano if I had first honors.
Mm-hmm.
Or a keyboard. Piano is completely different. A keyboard if I got first honors in the sixth grade, right? In the sixth grade, I got first honors. I was killing the game. So then she then gave me this keyboard. On this keyboard, we then used to split it in half. It used to be the keys, and then it used to be a drum set. Me and Chimdi would just be like, Chimdi would be hitting the drums. Then on top of that, one thing that's funny that happened. So when I was younger, I was a big gamer, computer gamer though, because we couldn't really afford a PS4, PS5, PS3, PS1, whatever it was. We always got it like a year later, eventually. So I used to just, hopefully I can't get arrested for that, but I used to get it cracked. I used to hack it and all of that stuff. I was really good with computers when I was younger. So in that process, our computer would crash. When the computer crashes now, my mom dad had to hire somebody to come fix this computer. And this is just to tell you guys the genesis of our lives as DJs. The person that was to come fix our computer, and this was when we were younger, probably like in the 6th grade, 7th grade, he'll come fix the computer. And then at the end of fixing the computer, he'll put virtual DJ on it. After putting the virtual DJ on it, me and him found it. He was like, "Oh, what is this?" We were just like, we just started playing with it. We didn't even know what it was. We just started playing with it. I was like, "Oh, this is cool." Kept on playing with it, kept on playing with it. And eventually my mom found out, got angry. I think she brought the guy back to delete it. Right? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, since you're deleting it, I'll go back to my game. Started downloading games again. And then the computer crashed again. Then the guy comes back again, fixes the computer and puts it back again. My mom said, "This music king is just going to keep following you guys." So in that journey, then we were like, all right, we got really good at using virtual DJ. We noticed that a lot of African parties, the DJs were really old, playing old music. The kids wanted to turn up. They couldn't really turn up because they were just playing all these long gospel musics. And, we wanted to hit P Square. We wanted to hit Fair. We wanted to hit dun, 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 dun. Yeah, like we wanted to jam. We wanted to turn up. So we were like, all right, let's take a crack at this. We took a crack at it, started making money. So before we were even musicians and producers, well, we were producers first. Then we decided to go into DJing because DJing, we was getting the bag. They were giving us money from weddings to private events to colleges. We were getting money from DJing because like people. This was before Afrobeats became mainstream. So us giving it to them was like, wow, we ain't never heard this before. Do you get? And like the way we were giving it to them as well, it still carried the same energy that our music carries now, which is enjoyment. Yeah. So that's what I would say about our journey as musicians, how our parents kind of received it. My dad has been supportive as well. He's more supportive now, obviously, because we live on our own, so he has kind of no choice. But it was kind of harder for him to kind of take a grasp of it, But it's new, so I don't blame him.
I feel like African parents have to see like the success of something, that when you're going outside of a traditional path, for them to be like, okay, this is what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But before, they're just like doing, this is a waste of time.
I didn't tell you. You're right. Once they see this interview now, trust me, they're gonna take it and post it in all the group chats. we had an interview in Ghana. Chimdi was there live and I was there virtually. And I'm telling you, all of our group chats, my dad is saying, "Don't put that for early. Look at my sons. Look at my sons." This is the person that was like, "Why are you doing music? Stop doing music." And I was like, "Look at my sons. Guys, very, very big one. Very, very big one."
I could talk to you guys forever. And I feel like we also have so many questions, but in the interest of time, we do want to start dropping some gems, our tradition when we wrap up an episode. So the question is, for everybody, what advice would you give other first-gen creatives who are balancing their heritage and artistry?
I think I have one, and I'm pulling from the gems that you all have dropped in this conversation. I think a big key word that you displayed was authenticity. Just kind of being authentic in any and everything that you do, and be prideful. Be proud of where you come from. You don't have to sacrifice your heritage for your art. You don't have to sacrifice your art for your heritage. It's beautiful when the two can blend together.
I think I have one off the top of my head. I would say key gem is trust. Trust the process. Trust God. Trust yourself. If you never really lose in this life, it's either a blessing or you learn a lesson. And in that lesson, it is preparing you for the next one.
I would say cut the distractions, get to it. I think there's a lot of noise and too many distractions in our generation currently, and that's really what's, I think, messing a lot of people up. If you can, delete social media, even if it's for like a month, and see how much you accomplish. If that's truly what you want to do as far as being a creative, cut the noise. You don't need to go on Instagram or TikTok for inspiration. Everything is within you.
I love that, because my gem was make art that's reflective of you and not just what's trending.
There were so many cool gems dropped, but one of the major ones that you mentioned was to be intentional. And that's something, like, you set your intentions every day, and so you just follow through with that and you can go far.
Amazing. And I'll keep it short and sweet. Be a student of the game and care for your craft and watch the blessings fall into your lap. Yes. So this was an amazing episode. I want to wish you guys like the absolute most success. One thing that I didn't mention that I really admire about you guys is the fact that you're brothers and the fact that your guys' bond is so strong. I think that's beautiful. So keep that going. Like, we talked about identity and setting ourselves apart just by being us. Like, that alone is like secret sauce. Like, no one else can duplicate that. So looking forward to what you guys accomplish in the future. Where can the people find you, follow you? Anything you want to plug, drop?
Yeah, us on Instagram. It's itsENJ, itsENJ_, and then if you just do your Googles, it's itsENJ. You see everything falling. It's ENJ, the Dappa Duo, Dappa as in DAPPA. Yeah, and you can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, all the same. itsENJ.
And yeah, we have new music coming, new jams to keep you guys happy, dancing, in love, because Anna believes here that I'm a lover boy.
In love for the lovers.
We heard it live. Kalari and I came to your show, and it was very, very lit. So tap into their new EP for sure.
Thank
Yes,
you.
yes.
Coming with that this year as well. So stay.
And as a fashion show coming up in collaboration with other brands. So look out for that as well. Happening in LA. So we'll let you guys know those who are not in LA, book your tickets, pull up.
For sure. What's your clothing brand called?
Amarika.
I love that.
So the EP is essentially like the launch of Joy is Greater.
Joy is Greater.
Well, I love that. Wow, thank you so much for coming on and spending time with the gems and dropping your gems. Like, this is a pleasure. It feels like we were talking to like our relatives and like, hey cousins. Yeah, it's definitely a good time.
Enugu to Abia to Aba. Everybody all cousins.
To the world.
To the world.
To the world. To Canada.
Yeah.
So thank you, the first gems. You guys are amazing. This was
You're
amazing. Just want to do a big shout out to you guys as well. Before we go,
thank you guys. I appreciate you guys for your platform. It's been amazing speaking to all of you.